Hey everyone, Darren Carnall here. I'm an artist in the UK. I spend all my time repainting statues and action figures and head sculpts for clients all around the world. I've been doing this for about 11 years now. When I set up my Patreon, I wasn't really sure what direction it would go in. I thought that at the beginning that it would be largely to allow me the time to do other artwork that wasn't based on my repainting work. So I would have the time to do maybe big canvas paintings based on films or pencil drawings or other stuff like that. But it very quickly became apparent that pretty much everyone wanted to see me paint and see how I painted, and basically to follow my normal commission work, but being taught how to do it themselves. Now, some people like me just wanted to watch me because they just enjoy watching artists paint, and I'm exactly the same. I do the same thing all the time. I find that fascinating, watching other artists paint. But a lot of people wanted to watch me paint and describe what I was painting and how I was painting it and why I was doing it in a certain way, and basically to teach them all the techniques that I use on a daily basis. Now, for the last few months I've been catching up on a bit of a backlog, so I've been a little bit slower than normal, but what I normally do is I record pretty much everything that I paint, and on Patreon I upload, it's usually 2 videos per week of whatever I'm painting, and you get to see the whole process from a blank head sculpt that's just plain white or plain grey right through to the finished piece of something that looks hopefully a bit human, a bit alive, and you get to see every single brushstroke along the journey. And that's kind of the point of my Patreon. On YouTube, every time I finish a commission, I edit that video down into about a 10-minute video that shows the process all the way through, but very quickly. So you get to see everything that was done, but you won't really have any clue how it was done or why it was done, but you'll get to see the process. On Patreon, you'll get to see exactly how I did something and precisely why I did something in a particular way. I explain the whole thing from start to finish, every single brushstroke, and people on my Patreon get to see all of that. I've had people sending me emails saying that they started this as a hobby quite recently and pretty much learned how to paint from watching my videos. Now, that is unbelievably humbling to hear something like that. I don't expect that from everybody. I've had people who do this as a hobby and are very good at it, but their techniques are very different from mine, and they've asked me, well, I do this a certain way. Why do you do it that way? That's completely different. Can you tell me how you do that? And that's what these videos are for. So I'm going to be uploading about 2 videos a week of whatever I'm painting at the time. I basically do 1 commission per week and then move on to the next one. So I will just be filming everything that I do, and for YouTube, editing it down into a 10-minute video, for Patreon, expanding the whole thing up and playing the entire week's worth of painting so people can see exactly how I do something. I will hopefully do some other stuff on Patreon. There are things that I want to do as hobbies that are nothing to do with work that I might show. I've got this wonderful TARDIS and Doctor Who figure, and I want to rebuild the windows on this TARDIS and relight them up inside with little light boxes behind each window, and that might be kind of interesting to see. I've got a giant Millennium Falcon model that I want to rebuild and make more accurate and paint and try and give it a paint job like what ILM did in the 1970s on the original Millennium Falcon. That might be interesting to see. So there's other stuff that I want to do, and all of that is just if I get the time, when I get the time. Let's say when, because I want to do all that stuff. But for now, it's going to be tutorials on how I paint different head sculpts. And I choose upcoming ones based on what I think might be interesting. Now that could be because something is an interesting character. That could be because something is a big full statue instead of a normal little head sculpt. It could be something like if a character has black skin. That's quite an interesting thing to learn. How do you paint that? Because that's very different from painting the normal characters that I get sent. So there's different ways that I can take this. But in general, it's going to be a couple of videos a week of how I do everything that I do. And hopefully I can help some people along the way. And if people have any questions that they want me to do something different on Patreon, they can ask me and say, why don't you do this, Darren? Do this next time. And I'll see if I can work it in. So that's this video. I'm going to go now. Have a good day, and hopefully I will see you on Patreon or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. Anywhere out on the internet. I will see you around. Take care, guys.